I've been spending a lot of time reading through the CRPG book from Bitmap Books because while I absolutely love Japanese RPGs, computer RPGs are something that I've always wanted to learn more about, and thanks to the CRPG book, I've discovered tons of games that I can't wait to explore, starting with the Quest for Glory series by Sierra Online. Quest for Glory was originally going to be called Hero's Quest, and if that sounds kind of like King's Quest or Space Quest from Sierra, then you'd be right. Quest for Glory looks and plays similar to those games, but remains distinctively in the realm of fantasy RPGs. Now, the Quest for Glory games were available on MS-DOS, Windows, Amiga, Atari ST, NEC, PC-8801, and Mac OS. One handy thing that the CRPG book covers that helps for complete newbies like me into older titles is to break down what to expect from each different platform. So if you've got several different platforms at your disposal to choose from, you've got a head start on helping you narrow down which version to play. The Amiga has always been a neat-looking machine to me, and I would normally jump at the opportunity to play on Amiga, but you can import your save files from previous games in Quest for Glory 2 and 3. And on 3, well, that only came out on MS-DOS. So for that reason, I decided to stick to good old MS-DOS for my IBM-compatible personal computer. Quest for Glory, So You Want to Be a Hero, was released in 1989 on MS-DOS, featuring EGA graphics which have a very iconic look to them. There was a remake, though, in 1992 for MS-DOS that featured VGA graphics, which bumps up the color count and screen resolution. You play as a young man who's trying to save the European-style barony of Spielberg from a litany of problems, as heroes are wont to do. Quest for Glory is an adventure game featuring an RPG-style combat. In Quest for Glory 2, Trial by Fire, it follows that same hero of Spielberg into new territory, hence the whole being able to import your save file thing. This title takes place in an Arabian Nights-inspired land and even begins with our hero arriving in Shapir via a magic carpet. Something that you might notice is that this game was only ever released officially using EGA graphics and features that distinctively dated look. However, if that's not your cup of tea, AGD Interactive released an enhanced VGA remake of the game, which is a whole other interesting rabbit hole for you to go down another day. This one requires Windows XP though, so after the Quest for Glory, you might need to perform some serious hardware upgrades to get your computer up to spec. Now, the Quest for Glory 3, Wages of War, brings the hero of Spielberg to Fricana, and even further from what I would call a typical RPG setting. While the title on average is rated lower than the rest of the series, the unique African-themed setting is worth the price of admission alone. To quote the CRPG book, collectively, these become more than just a travelogue, with the hero constantly being exposed to what people want and what they really need, facing evil enemies who have to be stopped, but also learning that appearances can be deceptive. Quest for Glory, Shadow of Darkness is the final Quest for Glory to be released on MS-DOS and takes place in Mordavia, a haunted valley that wouldn't feel out of place in an old Universal horror flick, complete with pop culture references to Frankenstein and Monty Python. And have I mentioned that these games don't take themselves too seriously yet? This would actually be an incredible way to spend some time preparing for Halloween, and is unfortunately the last entry of this kind in the series, and not a bad way at all to send the series off in style. The Quest for Glory 5, Dragonfire, though, is a radical departure from the rest of these titles up to this point, both visually and from a gameplay perspective. The game transitioned from an adventure RPG to an action RPG, and features an emphasis on polygonal visuals that might not have aged quite as gracefully as what I've enjoyed in Quest for Glory 4. At this point in time, Sierra Online was really pushing to be a part of the future of gaming on PC, and as with many companies' first foray into polygonal games, the first attempts were a bit clumsy, though it's still somewhat novel at the time in its release in 1998. You can learn more about these games and even a spiritual successor called Heroine's Quest and more in the CRPG book from Bitmap Books. It's like a reference book of computer RPG knowledge. Check it out by following the link in this video's description.